if someone wants to actually follow Jewish law properly, doing things like that, I'm actually going somewhere with this, is actually not really possible, because in order for us to eat according to Jewish law, first of all, you have to say Modani, then you have to wash your hands, then you're actually supposed to get dressed and say the morning blessings, which is a whole list of like 15 blessings of gratitude. Included in that is obviously, cleansing oneself, normal hygienic things. It's not just a clean thing to do, it's also the halachic thing to do. By the time you finish with all of that, to get back into bed and to eat breakfast, I think there's a message here.
You are listening to the JP Show,
where we discuss the issues you care about from a Jewish perspective.
I am Rabbi G.
And I am Rabbi Levi.
And we hope you enjoy this episode. Hi everyone, welcome to another JP Show. Wherever you are, please subscribe, leave a review, and join us as we have a conversation. So it's been quite a hectic week, as always. We had a lot of activities.
There's a lot on.
Getting
ready for a lot of big things coming up.
Yeah, it's really doing well. Last time we had a little men's gathering.
It was your birthday, actually.
It was, yeah.
For those who haven't realized yet. We've had around 5 events.
You don't have to tell everyone.
No, there's a reason for that. We believe in, first of all, celebrating Jewish birthdays. That's number one. And we believe that a birthday is actually not a time to just eat cake and have a good time, but a birthday is actually a time to become less self-centered and more God-centered.
Yeah,
if you can use it as an opportunity to learn more Tarauma with people and spread Jewishness, then we'll do it.
That's actually well put. I had a few people say to me, so how are you going to spend your birthday?
That's right.
Someone said, are you going to have breakfast in bed? First of all, I wouldn't know how to eat breakfast in bed. I don't know how you do that.
Doesn't sound too enjoyable, actually.
Yeah, I actually like to sit at a table. But but as you say, birthday is not like, pampering ourselves. It's about actually doing good things. Using out the day.
It's interesting to think breakfast in bed. It's not the topic I want to discuss, but
doesn't matter.
Or maybe you'll lead it to somehow. That's just interesting, and I know that everyone watching is on different levels of observance, and that's fine. And just everyone should be on their own journey. But just to give people a little bit of an idea, like if someone wants to actually follow Jewish law properly, doing things like that, and I'm actually going somewhere with this, is actually not really possible, because in order for us to eat according to Jewish law, first of all, you have to say Modani, then you have to wash your hands, then you're actually supposed to get dressed and say the morning blessings, which is a whole list of like 15 blessings of gratitude. Included in that is obviously, cleansing oneself, normal hygienic things. It's not just a clean thing to do, it's also the halachic thing to do. By the time you finish with all of that, to get back into bed and to eat breakfast, I think there's a message here. I think Judaism...
Yeah, by the way, where are you going with this? I have no idea what the topic is for today. I certainly know where you're going with this.
I think the message is that Judaism believes that everything needs to be done with intention. You can't just wake up and eat. It has to be, you have to wash your hands, you have to think about why you're eating, who gave you this food.
Correct.
It's not forbidden to have breakfast in bed, by the way. If someone wants to get back into bed and have breakfast after all that, enjoy yourself. But I'm just saying, I think there is a message here. Like, you can't just do something. Everything in Judaism needs preparation. You need to think about it. You need to know why you're doing it.
Look, I think it links into the fact that everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
So therefore, you need to be present.
Yeah.
And intentioned. Yeah, correct.
Anyway, so you did not have breakfast in bed on your birthday? That didn't end up happening?
Actually, you know what I did do? Some on the actual birthday. Seems like my birthday took a week, but I'm not, I did a few things in honor of it. But
which was on Sunday, actually.
it was all about, again, it was all about learning with people and learning extra and so on. But on the Sunday, on my actual birthday, I went to the mitzvah house on the beach.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be a nice thing to put on film with someone, and it was a nice thing.
Yeah.
For sure. So what is the topic of today?
So maybe we can connect somehow. I don't know. So just to give it the context of the time of year which we're in, but it's a general discussion. This coming Shabbos is the 12th of Tammuz, which in the Hasidic calendar is a very big day. I know that. So we say it every second day. And the Hasidic calendar.
For those that don't know, the Hasidic calendar is quite busy.
It's true. The Jewish calendar, putting aside the Hasidic calendar, is busy and filled with a lot of excitement. And the Hasidic calendar just adds a new dimension to that. Anyway, so this coming Shabbos is the day. How long has it been actually? As a calculation, is it Tafresh Pei Zayin? It's almost actually 100 years. So next year will be 100 years.
Correct. So we're going into the 100th year now.
Yeah, since the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, who was the Rebbe's father-in-law, was freed from prison. Now he was imprisoned
In communist Russia.
in communist Russia. He ran a whole network of underground schools, Jewish schools, mikvahs, and just in general teaching and preaching Jewish observance. And the communists didn't like that. They wanted to snuff out religion. And they hunted him, and he eventually got arrested. He got the sentence of death, actually, through a whole series of intervention and, of course, a miraculous series of events. He was freed from prison, sent to exile in some far-off place called Kostroma, originally for 10 years, then 3 years, and then it was like 2 weeks. And on the 12th of Tammuz, he was
released.
Well, actually, because everything has to be double. So on the 12th of Tammuz, he was told he's going to be released. 13th of Tammuz, he was actually released. And in the Hasidic world, it became a very big day of celebration. And it's a day that we generally reflect on the previous generation's self-sacrifice and readiness to literally give up their life in order to preserve Judaism. Something that he was ready to do, something his students were ready to do. A lot of people did give up their life. You're currently reading a book about that. I actually started the book as well, about a remarkable woman, Rebbetzin Ushbal, whose family, left, right, and center, gave up their life for Yiddishkeit in Russia. And that's something we've done over many generations. Now, not so much now, although there continues to be obviously terrorist events and things that unfortunately happen. But on a general principle, we can walk around the streets as Jews. We can open up a Jewish center. No one's trying to arrest us because of it. So I guess the first question is, what lesson can we learn from that in our present day?
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to give a bit of context, so people understand. We're talking about the previous Rebbe's leadership when communism was beginning, really.
Yeah.
Under Stalin. So it's under Stalin's rule, which was brutal, completely brutal. And I'm actually now only beginning to understand even more than I used to, because I'm reading this book you're talking about. It's called Not Alone, and it's written about a woman called Rebbetzin Ushbal. And also I've just been listening to someone talking about all the history, and people lived their entire life under threat. And the easier option would have been for them just to not be religious at all, or not keep any mitzvot and deny the existence of God. It was still tough. I mean, communism is not a system that worked for anyone, actually, but nevertheless, but at least it didn't bother you so much, it wasn't easy, you didn't have a lot of wealth, and these people, led by the previous Rebbe, the previous Rebbe became a Rebbe in 1920, that is not long after the revolution. And made it his business to fight, to take on Stalinism at every level. And just people on the run, people got arrested, people got shot. And just an amazing, amazing thing. How people were just dedicated to keeping the flame of Judaism alive, which incidentally, just to understand the significance of the day, I know we said the Hasidic calendar is very busy. Eventually, the previous Rebbe left Russia in 1928 or 1920, at the end of 1927, when he was released from jail. He had to leave. The Hasidim remained there, but many of them came out afterwards. And then there was a short period of time when there wasn't much Jewish activity.
Right.
But then when closer to the time of Gorbachev and all that, when the sort of the Iron Curtain fell, and shluchim and rabbis went back to Russia, there was always underground activities later on in the 30s, and not the 30s, the 60s, the 70s. There was underground stuff going on there as well.
Yeah.
But it was all came from that seeds that the previous rabbi planted. And when centers reopened in Russia, and there was an amazing explosion of Jewish renewal, almost like coming back, it all came from that. And it all came because it was kept alive, and it was still there from the previous rabbi's time. So we live in a different world, as you said today. It's very different. But there's a tremendous lesson, right? Because the lesson is that commitment isn't always easy, I think. And we have our own set of tests, so to speak, our own set of temptations. And I think when you look at that generation, which we call a generation of Mesirus Nefesh, they actually were ready to give up their life for Judaism. Why were they ready to do that? What's the reason? And the reason is because Judaism was so real to them. The faith in Hashem was so real that that was their reality. And therefore, that's what you have to do. Okay, if you have to risk your life, you have to risk your life. I mean, obviously there are laws in the Torah. Sometimes if your life under threat, you don't have to do it. But the general principle was, no, we're going to do it even though it's difficult and even though it's dangerous. I mean, I just heard recently they used to keep on building mikvahs, right, for the laws of family purity and the women. I read stories of women who didn't have a mikveh. They used to literally go and break the ice in rivers in order to go to the mikveh once a month, especially in the winter. And then there were places they did build mikvahs, and then the authorities would come and close it down. They would go somewhere else and build another mikveh. And it was like and the same thing with cheders. It was just unbelievable. So we don't have to do that, thank God. But the lesson we have to learn is that we can bring that commitment into our life, into our comfortable life. And sometimes we're lazy, we don't want to do a mitzvah, it's hard, we don't particularly relate to it, we're not inspired by it, we're just tempted not to do it, it takes time, it takes effort. At that time, it's a good thing to think about the people who risk their lives for it and bring that commitment into our life. In other words, that if Judaism is real, if we believe in God, which we do, and if it's a real thing, we have to push ourselves a bit. Not always being comfortable, it's by pushing ourselves a bit.
Right. Do you think these are stories that we should tell children? Or children should be taught more, the positive side of Judaism, how beautiful it is, and how wonderful it is? Should we be teaching them that people have to suffer and die and persecuted because of their Judaism?
So it's such an interesting question. And you just said something there which is interesting because I want to combine it. I don't think you meant it that way, but the question could be misleading that the people who did this weren't happy. They were actually really happy. I knew them.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of people. I mean, you knew some of them too. I knew people. I knew Hasidim, great Hasidim. When I was studying in Melbourne, I knew some of them. When I was overseas, there were some really, really great people who lived through this, and they were the happiest people I've ever seen.
Right.
They went through so much suffering in a way, so much hardship in order to serve Hashem when they were in Russia under communism, and they were so happy because to them, when Yiddishkeit is real, you're actually happy to even risk your life to serve Hashem.
Right.
So, in terms of your question, absolutely, we should tell children those stories. They're very, very important on so many levels. We live in a world now where everyone thinks you can never be uncomfortable. It's a very, very big problem, general problem. Not just a Judaism problem. It's actually a real general problem. And also where it's come so easy, and therefore you don't appreciate it. And therefore, it's really important to tell children stories about how people really put in such hardship in order to do a mitzvah. By the way, there's stories like that in the camps, in the Holocaust. There's stories in the Holocaust, people risk their lives because they heard on the other side of the camp someone has a shofar and they're going to, all that kind of thing, right? They break matzah under the nose of the Nazi, like this. But it's all the same thing because it was so precious to them. And to explain but it has to be with children, it has to be translated. In other words, and look, now we have the opportunity. We can do it without being hunted down. We can do it without someone putting a gun to our head, without being at risk. So how much more so we should be able to do it and make it real and really be committed to it. And also talk about the simcha, the joy that people that did it that way, they did it with joy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very powerful.
In fact, maybe I'll tell a little story. There was a great chassid called Reb Mendel Futterfass, who was one of these great chassidim in Russia who helped other people, did mitzvahs. He was also unbelievable. At the end, there was a short time after the war where Polish citizens were allowed to leave Russia, and he was part of a network that actually helped people to leave by falsifying Polish passports and to get people out of the danger of communism. And at the end, he got caught. The very end, when he was going to leave, he wouldn't leave before he helped everyone else that he knew. And at the end, he got caught and he was arrested and sent to Siberia for many years. And there's a story when he was in Siberia, obviously there were hard times and there were times obviously it was difficult for him, but he was isolated from his family, everything. But there's a story of sitting around with I don't know what you call them, the Cossacks, the peasants in prison, who were there for other things like, I don't know, murdering or killing or who knows what, or stealing or political stuff. And they had no purpose in their life. They weren't. I mean, he davened and he kept doing the mitzvahs as much as he could, even in Siberia, right? And they once asked him, like, "What's with you? How come you're always so happy? Like, this is a terrible life. We're all taken away from our families. We're all suffering." And he explained to them, because I have a focus, and he gave them, I think, an analogy, because there was one time in the camps. He tells a story, a beautiful story. One time in the camps where one of the people previously worked in a circus or something, and he was very skilled. He knew how to tightrope walk. What's it called?
Yeah.
So they made a makeshift thing over there in the camps. Like they took a rope and they tied it to one thing, another thing, and this guy did a show for the prisoners, and he walked across and he was fine, didn't fall, right? So Remendel Futterfass asked him, he said, "Tell me the trick." And he said, the trick is that when you walk on a tightrope and you want to make it to the other side, you don't look right, you don't look left, you certainly don't look behind, you just look ahead to the goal, right, to where you want to get to. And he said, like, the Baal Shem Tov says that everything you see and hear, you have to learn a lesson. He said, this is it. And this is what he told these other peasants, the other prisoners. He said, I have a higher purpose in my life. I have a faith. I'm looking forward. I have a destination. I have a goal in life, no matter where I am. That's like...
Yeah. No, it's very beautiful. How do we connect this back to the breakfast in bed? I'm not sure, but it was,
No, I think...
I think there's something to that. Like... No,
life is not just about breakfast in bed. That's
right.
Right.
Exactly.
It's about intention, about having a goal, about having a higher purpose. And sometimes it doesn't have to be so comfortable.
That's right.
And you do it anyway with joy.
That's right.
Because with joy, because we're connecting to God. We become closer to God when we do that.
Yeah.
And that's just an amazing thing.
All right. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
I think next week the calendar is pretty clear, so
well, there's a lot of other things to talk about.
Yeah, there's
All right.
release coming up and so on. Have a wonderful week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you soon.